So Joe, lovely to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Congratulations on a absolutely fascinating film. What drew you to this story? I mean, it's obviously a true story based on Billy Moore's experience of being in a Thai prison. It's quite a gritty, quite violent story. What made you want to be a part of this film, portraying his life?
I think getting to know Billy was a big part of it. I read his book and I thought his life story was fascinating. He seemed like a very kind of interesting, convoluted character that struggles and struggles through with his own head and all this sort of stuff. But when I met him, I realised there was so much more to him than perhaps people might think. Someone like that would be. So that was an aspect of it, and I just think I'm inspired by challenges. I think as an actor, it's important to push yourself and push yourself out of your comfort zone and do things that feel might be difficult. And I really felt like this would be a challenge, especially after watching Jean Stéphane's first film and speaking to him, and he said, look, we're going to be doing this for real. We're going to be having all the real prisoners. We're going to be shooting in a real prison. The fights are going to be real. We're going to be hitting each other. The sparring is going to be real, and I just got a real sense there was going to be something special. So yeah, for that reason, I wanted to do it.
And building on what you just said, I think there is a real authenticity and grittiness to this film.
We've said real a lot, haven't we? But yeah.
But it's that a lot of films don't achieve. So how did you go about working with these, real life characters? Bringing that grittiness to it that it's quite difficult to achieve in other films.
I think shooting in the actual locations and working with guys who spent large portions of their life in prison, both in front of and behind the camera. We had people that had been in prison and knew that world, and we had Thai, all the boxers, prisoner boxers. They'd won fights to get early releases from prison. The coach in the film was a champion Thai boxer. So it was creating an environment that was as close to how it actually is. We shot the final sequence in a working prison in the Philippines in front of 2,700 prisoners. They put a boxing ring in the middle of the courtyard, and I went toe to toe with a Thai champion boxer. And it's just we're not on a set, we're not on a lot in Hollywood. It's with a bunch of actors getting tattoos put on them. These guys have the scars and they have the stories to back it up, and that was a real treat.
I mean, kind of putting yourself in that environment, and of course the training must have been very intense for you. Were there some real challenging moments? Were there any bits where you're like, this has almost become too much of a real experience?
Yeah, I mean, I was being on set and we were sparring, doing proper sparring, and I would spar 5 or 6 Thai guys in a row as part of my training, and it was only because I'm maybe a slightly heavier weight category that I could use kind of my longer reach to actually do it. But those guys had endless fights in Thai prisons and won championships. So of course they're going to catch me out, and they did. And there were moments where I was really rocked and had to clinch them and change the course of the scene just to sort of survive. But it's on camera, you see it, and it was like, I can either stop and we're going to have to redo this whole thing again, or I can just go with it and just try and get through it like how you have to get through a normal fight. You can have as much training as you want, but until when you get hit, that all goes out the window. And that happened a couple of times, which was kind of, I suppose, interesting for because I'm an actor, not a fighter.
And was there some kind of pressure to portraying someone that's obviously still alive? And how did you work with Billy to kind of try and, I guess, keep it as close to the facts as possible, but then also bring, your own, insight into the story?
Well, I got to know Billy really well. I was filming in Liverpool when I got the role. So I spent a lot of time with him. I spent a lot of time with his family. I met his mum. I met his brothers, and he was really giving and very open, and that was lovely and very, very helpful, because it meant I could just use even little things he'd tell me, were just small things that he'd sort of talk to me about off the cuff that would just help colour a different scene, and just give that little bit extra. But he couldn't come to Thailand because obviously he's been in prison there, so he's not allowed to go there, not for want of trying. He got blocked at Heathrow Airport, but that actually allowed me to kind of take my own, take it on for myself. I spent all this time with him, and then I was allowed to take the character on for myself and put my own feeling and my own thing into it. And I could still speak to him on Skype if I needed to check in with him on certain things. So it was a nice mix, actually. It worked very, very well, and it allowed me to, the stress of having to play him, and that went out the window, because once I got to set, I could just fully focus on my own performance.
And just very quickly, it is quite a gritty, goes to film and goes to some dark places. What do you think people's takeaways are going to be? Is there kind of like a glimmer of optimism that can come out from the end, from his story?
I think so. I think there's definitely, I don't want to give away the film, but I think there is hope in this story. He's gone through, Billy has gone through things that I wouldn't wish on anyone. And he's recently battled cancer for 9 months, blood cancer, lymphoma, and he's got through it, and there's light at the end of the tunnel. And now we're making a movie about addiction and battling addiction, and that's what it's about. It's about the disease of addiction, really, and fighting that, and getting through that, and figuring that out. And I think, that's what you can take from the movie, that there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Well, thank you so much for
No, nice to meet you.
Thanks.